Well, hello, everybody. That was Sunny War off All Lives Worth. Welcome. An hour's gone. Say goodbye to the last one. You're not going to see that one again. But now, as we approach the new hour, I'm going to tell you it's KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo. And number to the studio is 701-478-4959, RadioFreeFargo.org. You can listen to old shows. You can go there and donate. We'll take every last, nickel you got because it's your money that keeps us rocking. And in this particular case, I talk about cannabis and cannabis legalization. And if you're interested in that, that's what's going to happen now. And you're never going to hear it anywhere else. I give you, at 420, I give you a big bag of cannabis news. And I curate that from the weeks past. So we ain't got 2 weeks old cannabis news. We got no 3 weeks cannabis news. It's last week. And believe it or not, I can kick out a week worth of new cannabis and cannabis legalization news. So this Thursday is going to be no different. 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately, and I hope you guys are as well. Cannabis, again, that's what we're talking about. And they actually say that it can actually help with your your mental health. So medicate and call Mobile Mental Health Crisis Response number 1-800-233-4512 and talk to them about it because we need everybody in the world. And if you're sleeping on a bumpy couch, the New Life Center helps people who are homeless and hurting go from merely surviving to truly thriving. Their aim is to help people in need discover value and find hope. The New Life Center has evolved into a multifaceted emergency and crisis service center. To learn more about NLC, visit their website at www.fargonlc.org or give them a call at 701-235-4453. Again, RadioFreeFargo.org. KRFF 95.9. That's what you're strapped into now. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, noon to 3. You had Side Stage with Trav. And, you could trust me around your place with your last $100. But if you leave a bag of kazoos in the studio, you best believe one of them's going to be missing. And it might be the blue one. But anyway, you can't leave a bag of kazoos here and expect them to stay there. Now, again, I only took one or I didn't. Who's listening? Am I being taped? But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday, and this Thursday is no different. We talk about cannabis and cannabis legalization, and man, we got some local stuff we can talk about. We've got some legislative bills that are cruising down the lane, cruising up the line. Any one of those is going to work. I'm Wilson, king of cannabis. C is for cannabis and cookie, and one kazoo less. But anyway, Thursday, Side Stage with Trav, noon to 3. Get your automation 3 to 4, and then boom-bitty-bing, you got Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, and that's what you're strapped into right now. I hope everybody is doing great, because I am, you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, Canna-Talk ND on YouTube. You can listen to this minus the music tomorrow between 5 and question mark. We got Canna-Head, let's see, how do I do that? Philip Canna-Head Pilko. He's my tech guy, and he's the Canna-Head dude. Sunday, Canna-Talk ND. You can listen to that guy and learn something. Educate yourself so you can educate others on the benefits of cannabis and the progress of cannabis legalization, because we're making it. You can brag about cannabis. Cannabis ain't losing. Cannabis is picking up steam, seeds and steam. It's picking up seeds and steam, ladies and gentlemen. And we're at this first musical break. We got ourselves Stay Up Late. It's about the babies. Talking Heads. Stay Up Late. Talking Heads. Off the Little Creatures album. Thank you for that, Talking Heads. Radio Free Fargo 95.9. Doing Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. We're in Fargo. You could be anywhere listening to RadioFreeFargo.org. Shout out to y'all that is. Canna-Talk ND. We're just going to talk about cannabis. That's the Canna and Talk. And this Thursday's no difference. It's 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. I hope you guys are too. Strap yourself in. We got an hour here. Well, 50 minutes, all right? But I'm going to discuss a couple things now, and I'll probably discuss it again. But since this is Canna-Talk ND, and I have stuff about North Dakota, and it pertains to cannabis legalization, I've got to give it to you. And I just kind of did the Kramer thing, and I got to give it to you. But anyway, I know you guys are wondering, well, am I going to play kazoo on the air? I don't think I should. And we'll just leave it at that. But anyway, North Dakota House Bill 1201 would expand cannabis decrim. So it's basically a cannabis decriminalization bill on the heels of the House Bill 1420. So there's two of them now. And so one's decrim, and I'll tell you about that. It would make up to an ounce a non-criminal offense. So $50 fine, which when I got busted sitting outside the Gardner because I didn't want to, mess with my neighbors with a smell as I did my nighttime medicating. I went outside the Ole Tangen Park right by the fire department about 12-something in the morning. A cop decided to come over, shake me down, and write me a ticket and take my only piece of paraphernalia. Which, pop can, am I right? But anyway, I got a ticket. I had to go in. It was, because I remember paying the stupid fine, it was like $400. And so that's horrible. So it's dropped down to $50 now. So, and then 250 grams and more is an infraction with a fine up to a G. That's $1,000 for you non-hipsters. And a larger amount would be progressively higher penalties, which again, you can argue that by both sides, But the reality is 2 years ago, I got hit with a $400 fine. This would be a $50 fine. Now, I don't know, how smart everybody is listening, but that's like down 200% or something. And the word infraction is there. See, it wasn't an infraction for me. It was criminal. It was just since I hadn't had any, charges in so many years, they treated me as a newbie. But if I got busted, say, today, then it'd been completely different. I'd probably had to have gotten a lawyer. So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're talking about it here. North Dakota House Bill 1201, that would expand cannabis decrim. Like I said, an ounce, non-criminal, $50 fine. And then House Bill 1420, that's basically everything under an ounce and a half is legal. Basically, it legalizes recreational cannabis. And since we do have dispensaries, that'd be a quick transition. And legislators are doing it. We're not doing it. They're doing it. So that's a good sign because, again, we normally have to get them to do it. Now, we do have a ballot initiative, Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act. I have had the writer of the bill, David Thompson, on a couple times. He's a cool dude. He wrote a good measure. So now we've got three people on deck here. We've got House Bill 1201. House Bill 1420, and we've got a person-driven initiative, Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act, which allows home grow. So, we didn't have any of that 2 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So why don't we play a little music, and then I'll come back. In my dreams, big audio dynamite. Here it comes. Ooh. Amphetamine Annie, canned heat, the very best canned heat, is 2005. That started off with In My Dreams, Big Audio Dynamite, off the Globe. I gotta say I love that album, me and my daughter. It didn't come through as well sometimes, I don't know if it's the recording or what that means. But Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis in a positive light. We talk about the progress cannabis is being made, legalized, why, in North Dakota and all over. I get in here every Thursday at 4 o'clock, and at 4:20 I open a bag of cannabis news, and we're right on the heels of that. I'm going to play a little intro tune. I'm going to do a couple push-ups, blow on the kazoo a little bit, and then bingo bango, I'll be back, and we'll talk about cannabis all night. But anyway, RadioFreeFargo.org, KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Number to the studio, 701-478-4959. We do have the phone back in here. I haven't really figured out exactly if I can even accept a phone call. I've got to get into that because as we go into this legalization period, I'm going to need people to call in and tell me so I can tell you. You know what I'm saying? But let's get this thing going. Here's the intro. I'll see you in a little bit. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. What's cannabis? Wake up. Wake up. Oh boy, we did it. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's my intro tune. And that's what I did. And then I say, welcome everybody. We're about ready to talk about cannabis and cannabis legalization. North Dakota, of course, is where we live. Well, at least I live here. You know, you guys might not. But if you don't, then you're probably going to use me anyway to tell you. But anyway, this first article, well, let me just first of all say. So in North Dakota alone, we have three things happening. We've got the 1420, House Bill 1420 happening. Okay. And then we have ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. That's a person-driven initiative. Then we got North Dakota House Bill 1201. That's the decrim bill, which basically, if you get caught up to an ounce, you only got to pay a $50 fine, and it's not a criminal offense. It's an infraction. So let's just give North Dakota a hand. Now, the legislators that are pushing that bill are also pushing, House Bill 1420. One has admittedly said he's not even for it, but he doesn't want to be behind. He wants to stay in the curve, up ahead. He uses the other states as the reason why he's changed his mind, and that's cool. But people with no feeling and are only doing it to be hip usually end up taxing the crap out of you. They don't let you grow it. There's a control mechanism in place. So again, when you see the legislative-driven ones, I say it's better than nothing, of course, because there's people that fall through the cracks that can't get the medicine because they can't get all the, they can't jump through the hoops. So this would allow people to medicate because they could go down the street and get it. So House Bill 420, I love you. Again, anybody that's sponsored that, want to come on and do a little talkie-talkie, Becker, Doctor, Mock, holler at your boy Wilson. You guys can tell us how awesome House Bill 1420 is. And what you think the chances of it are, because it's going to have to go through committee, go through the House, go through Senate committee, go through the Senate, and then Dougie Bo Buggy's got to do his thingy-mo-thingy. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a long way down, but it's actually not that far. So, again, I say that this is all progress. So that's what's happening in North Dakota. Now I'm going to start pushing out here. Marijuana Moment wrote, Minnesota governor urges lawmakers to pursue marijuana legalization amid budget talks. So what a perfect time to talk about it, right? Is during budget talks. Because then you get to interject, Illinois, they've projected 4,000 billion trillion zillion, So then they look at that. So anyway, the governor of Minnesota, he implored the legislator to look into legalizing marijuana as a means to boost the economy and promote racial justice. See, now here's the thing. If there was a bill that was, let's say the Dr. Mock guys were in North Dakota, they would know that they had a win if they got it to the governor. But see, North Dakota ain't like that now. Same thing with J.P. Pritzker. He's like, you get me a bill, I'll sign it. Just like Phil in New Jersey. I mean, I don't know if it's Phil. Me cracking. Okay, what are we talking about? Cannabis and cannabis legalization here. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I'm Wilson. I'm trying to get off the ground here. Okay, so anyway, he, during a briefing focused on his budget proposal, Governor Tim Walz was asked whether he is open to allowing sports betting in the state. He replied he wasn't closing the door on that proposal, but he says he's more interested in seeing lawmakers take a look at recreational cannabis. Yeah, he is more interested in seeing lawmakers take a look at recreational cannabis. He's never said that before. Why is he talking about it now? Not only would tax revenue from adult use marijuana dwarf those collected through sports betting, and that's he's assuming, he said, but legalization would also help address the equity issue and, quite honestly, the racial impact of our cannabis laws. And he's right. He said, I will say this, I will certainly leave open that possibility. Our neighboring states have done both of those things. Saying of gambling and cannabis. I obviously recognize that that's not 100% slam dunk for people and that they realize there's costs associated with both. But my message would be I don't think this is the time for me to say I'm shutting the door or anything. I mean, how hilarious is the guy saying that's shut down every door that he's got in Minnesota? Let me read that again. He says, but my message would be regarding sports betting and cannabis legalization is that I don't think this is the time for me to say I'm shutting the door on anything, unquote. Tim Walz has literally shut the door on everything. He's literally shut the door on everything. Quoting, I don't think this is the time for me to say I'm shutting the door on anything. That's hilarious. Am I the only one that gets that, that gets that? He literally shut the door on anything, and he's imploring us not to shut the door on anything. That's crazy, Walz. What are you smoking? I think it's crack this time. So put down the crack pipe and pick up the hug your neighbor pipe. and let's get this thing rolling. Waltz did not include a request to legalize through his budget, so I suppose that would motivate, and push the thing through. However, as governors in some other states have. So if you put the budget, then they have to do it because it's budgeted. Minnesota governor did say in 2019 that he was directing state agencies to prepare to implement reform. And I kind of remember that. Heading into the 2020 election, Democrats believe they had a shot at taking control. That's all. Blah, 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 blah. Minnesota's current cannabis laws are doing more harm than good, said Melissa Hartman. So that's what I'm saying. That is what's happening. So let's just keep cooking through here. So Minnesota. All they need is a bill and get it to the governor, So I would imagine, that those cats are doing that as we speak. So here's another Marijuana Moment article. Areas with more marijuana dispensaries have fewer opioid deaths. New study finds. This is by Kyle Yeager. Increasing access to marijuana dispensaries. And again, none of you guys that are listening is going to be surprised. I know that this is the case, but we've been fighting with people to see that this is the case before people die. Like I said, before the deaths are up, that this is an alternative for all kinds of medicines that have been made by these corporate giants that really, it's just like a huge corporation where they use the cheapest meal to make the grains. They'll get whatever, the cheapest grains they can get so they can make a bigger product, bigger profit. But now me, if I was going to make some bread, I'd want that to be the best bread. I'd be out there looking at the wheat, asking questions like, oh, how many things in the ratio is the thing in the wheat for the thing? Not how many can I feed for little? And that's what happened. That's what the pharmaceutical companies ended up doing. They just mass producing things that gets them the bottom line instead of let's do it for the people, and that's why this, the racial equity and all that stuff is stupid important, and it should always be addressed, But anyway, higher medical and rec storefront dispensaries counts are associated with a reduced opioid-related death rate, particularly deaths associated with synthetic opioids such as fentanyl. It's a finding that holds for both medical and recreational dispensaries. See, and that's what I'm saying. If you can't afford to jump through all the hoops medically, and you have a recreational dispensary, you treat yourself. And a lot of those cats, me included, that's what we were doing anyway with the wrong stuff. We couldn't afford to have a professional walk us down, I suppose, the least intrusive and, less injurious by practicality, And so we know that recreational dispensaries are providing a medical benefit. Researchers looked at opioid mortality and cannabis dispensary prevalence in 23 U.S. states from 2014 to 2018 and found that overall counties where the number of legal shops increased from 1 to 2 experienced a 17% reduction in opioid-related fatalities. Let's give the 17% reduction in opioid-related fatalities a hand. Man. So increasing the dispensary count from 2 to 3 was linked to an additional 8.5% decrease in opioid deaths. So anybody that can make change of Liz listening to me, take note of that. Because why wouldn't you want to be ahead of that? That's the thing I started to dislike about legislators. They started hiding behind, we don't know how they'll take it. We don't know if people will like it. It might not be a popular opinion. Instead of doing the right stinking thing, jumping up and going, this is right, and then making it be. Instead of these, the ho-hums, I wasn't sure, it was trending that it might not be a good idea. If it's a good idea, like reducing opioid deaths, stop being a big baby, grow yourself a spine, North Dakota legislators, and let's just get this rolling, Because wouldn't it be fun to say North Dakota's opioid deaths are down by 17%? Because you could. I mean, I don't know about 17%. It's probably a weird ratio per capita that I don't know nothing about. But I will tell you, if you allow cannabis to be available to people, they will choose that before they choose other things that are harmful, destructive, and in the end, the opposite of what they're looking for. Health, mentally, and physically. So anyway, y'all, let's get it. Okay? Now I got a little Sidetrack, so let's keep going. Basically, the study found that this trend appeared particularly strong for deaths associated with synthetic opioids other than methadone, which an estimated 21% reduction in mortality rates associated with an increase from 1 or 2 dispensaries. While the associations documented cannot be assumed to be causal, they suggest a potential association between increased prevalence of medical and rec dispensaries and reduced opioid-related mortality rates. This study highlights the importance of considering the complex supply side of related drug markets and how this shapes opioid use and misuse. And I mean, I remember when hydrocodones was kind of what you would do. Like you would go to the, the rapid care. You'd have a tooth that you said would hurting. They'd kick you down a hydrocodone script and you just get it out of the machine in the lobby. But then I want to say that was like early 90s, say. But then it's kind of funny how I'm tracking my own addiction. But in like 2005 to 2015, you had to hit yourself in the head with a hammer and have the hammer still stuck in your eyeball to get hydrocodones. I mean, they may give you Tylenol 3s, but you better have the chainsaw still up into your thigh. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not even kidding. I mean, I know that that's what happened. Because my teeth, thankfully to my Dr. Q, Dr. Sergio Q in Nuevo Progreso, has got my smile the way better smile. Thanks to my dentist in Mexico. So, and maybe I'll put up my before and after pic on one of my videos because it's pretty, when you say that's the same guy's mouth, exactly, and drugs and neglect and ADD and all that stuff kind of contributed. Cannabis never took away from that. It allowed me to think one thing at a time. It allowed me to consider, I got to shower and I got to brush my teeth and I got to change into clean clothes instead of all those things just bombarding into my brain. And those of you that have those issues, you know what I'm saying. So to deal with one thing at a time is phenomenal that cannabis provides. And so cannabis is this particular instance that opioid mortality is down thanks to cannabis. So thank you, cannabis. Let's keep. Oh, this one's good. You guys will like this. So anyway, Canadian Circle K stores now carrying cannabis gift cards. Yeah, you heard me right. Gas station chain Circle K is now selling gift cards next to the popcorn. I added that part. Canada is already miles ahead of the U.S. when it comes to federal legalization of cannabis. This is from the hightimes.com. Something America is still weighing and discussing. And now Canada has taken another step towards normalizing cannabis by gift cards in Circle K. To be specific, the locations are for Fire and Flower Dispensary. It's a well-known dispensary. The locations are all in Ontario, Alberta, and there are about 300 locations carrying the cards. I mean, that just blows my mind. But there's always been weird stuff at the gas station. I remember truckers love it. You take a couple of them, and 40 hours later, you're somewhere in Orlando going, I was just going to go to Iowa. I was just going to drive to Iowa. I don't know about those truckers love it. I don't think you can buy them anymore because truckers were just going all the way down to Honduras and they just needed to go to Omaha. So, that's not really, productive if you've driven twice as far as you need to be and you still didn't get where you're going, You feel me? So anyway, this is kind of neat, but you go in for cookies and stuff and your buddy's like, hey, look at this. And then next thing you know, you're not where you were supposed to go. But you're at your buddies giggling about how you just got a cannabis gift card at Circle K. But anyway, Canada offers retail sales and digital platform that helps guests keep track of purchases, take advantage of special deals. It seems like the next step in that ongoing expansion is cornering the gift card market for the cannabis industry. You don't want to assume what your brother-in-law or whatever wants, and then he can do it. So North Dakota and federal legalization, if I said to you 2 years ago that North Dakota legislators themselves, maybe not of their own volition, but came up with a decrim that would only be a $50 fine, no criminals, and then House Bill 1420 to literally legalize recreational cannabis under an ounce and a half, I would tell you you're on pot. You're on the big fat bowl of pot, sir. That's what I would have said 2 years ago. But I'm telling you this, now that it's happening. House Bill 1420 and House Bill 517. I don't remember. I'm not looking it up again. Do it yourself. In fact, you should read it and tell the people around you about it. But anyway, so that's normalizing cannabis. No, we ain't going to be able to get gift cards at Circle K for a while. I don't even know if Circle K franchise is in stinking North Dakota. But anyway, I jumped into a plane, and we're now at Prackenbury, Thailand. Now this is from the Manila Times. It was pushed out January 24th, 2021. Prackenbury, from spicy happy salads to soup sprinkled with cannabis shoots and deep-fried marijuana leaves, a Thai hospital restaurant has rolled out a weed-inspired menu which has curious customers flocking to sample its euphoria-inducing offerings. Not going to lie, whoever wrote this probably was new with English and was doing like the adjective day. This reads like a Harlequin romance novel if it was Thailand hospital rolls out cannabis meals. But anyway, since becoming the first Southeast Asian country, which you may not know, to legalize medical marijuana in 2018, Thailand has plowed ahead on the extraction, distillation, and marketing of cannabis oil, eager to capitalize on the multi-billion-dollar industry. The plant itself was finally removed from the kingdom's narcotic list last month, which means licensed providers like hospitals can now use its leaves, stems, and roots in food. This marks a return to Thailand's culinary past, and Dr. Pakakron Kwankau, who heads the Center of Evidence-Based Thai Traditional and Herbal Medicine in Chao Phraya. I ain't even going to try hospital. Oh, man. I'll tell you the letters. ABHIBHUBEJHR Hospital. Putting cannabis leaves in the food is our culture, she told Agent France Press Friday. In the past, before cannabis was banned, we put small amounts as seasoning herbs, and we also used it as an herbal remedy. In the past, before it was banned. So last week, the Hospital Wellness Center, which has a restaurant, introduced a new menu of Thai dishes offering a different sort of kick. In the restaurant's bustling kitchen, a cook batters marijuana leaves and fries them to golden Christmas, while another sprinkles them in a wok of minced meat with chile. There are small amounts of THC in the fresh plants, but to avoid overconsumption, the restaurant has a 5-leaf maximum limit per customer, said Pakakron. If they have low tolerance, then they may choose the dish with just a half-leaf, like a big baby, she said, warning that those who are pregnant with certain health problems should avoid the weed-infused menu. If you're asking for a half-leaf, you ought to just punch yourself in the face. That's all I'm saying. As for other interested foodies, recent research found that this small amount can improve mood, focus, and also creativity, and make you realize that, forget why you're in a stupid hospital in the first place, sitting there eating their deep-fried weed leaves, and you're like, oh, that's right, my mom's, not going to make it. But it's okay, because I just had this weed soup. For now, it draws a crowd during lunch, with dinner snapping selfies while growing increasingly mirthful with each passful hour. Let me say, again, while growing increasingly mirthful with each passing hour. I don't know if that's the right word in there, you think? Anyway, are we laughing because of what we've eaten? I don't think, completely anyway, said customer Thierry Martino, a French jewelry designer. Cannabis leaf, which the dish is cooked with, gives a little bit of bitterness, he said. That his meal was excellent. Sinola Cartel says she's eating in the same way ancient Thais used to dine. They put the cannabis leaves in my noodle soup, and this is actually an old traditional knowledge of Thais, said the 32-year-old pharmacist before digging into her joyfully happy spicy salad, a dish of corn-battered leaves served with chili sauce. Well, crying out loud, the Manila Times. That's just interesting to me. So why don't I quickly say this for my friend Leslie Paulson, Committee for Compassionate Care. They are in session right now, so if they're taking testimony and stuff. So if you've got a kid and you think the THC levels should be, increased, if there should be more than one caregiver, get a hold of her because they're doing it now. They need your help, I would say. So anyway, this is for Leslie because she, and I had her on the show, she grew CBD in the backyard of Carrington. You could see it from the interstate. God bless America. And the tester came out and tested, and it was higher than the 0.3. So she had to chop them down and let her babies get pulled off in a flatbed. So I'm reading this to now. USDA, and this from Ganchapreneur, USDA raises THC limit for hemp eradication to 1%. So the USDA has raised the temp or limit from 0.5% to 1%. So that's beautiful. So anyway, industrial hemp standards under U.S. law remains 0.3%, but the Agricultural Marketing Service, a division of the USDA, said the statute does not define negligent violation. And those politicians, boy, they know how to put words together, don't they? I have no idea what they said, but they basically said that 0.3 don't mean nothing. But it does, right? It does, but it doesn't. But anyway, 1%. So she had it, I think she said 0.4. So hers would have been good, So they're just increasing the threshold to 1.0%. AMS acknowledges that a lower total THC threshold would result in a higher number of negligent violations. No duh. AMS also understands that the factors beyond the control of the farmers may cause an increase in total THC levels, such as seed genetic, weather, and climate, and may contribute to crops exceeding the negligent violation threshold. AMS believes that the data provided in the comments clearly showed that increasing the negligent violation threshold to 1% would diminish the risks that producers would incur negligent violations. That's phenomenal, and whoever wrote this is a stinking genius, and I wish everybody sounded as smart and considerate and respectful and groovy to hemp farmers like this domestic hemp production program, AMS. AMS believes that the data provided in the comments, I just already said that, so they added a greater risk of non-compliant material reaching channels of commerce. So it's getting to where it needs to go, It's getting to where it needs to go. And that's where hemp needs to go. It needs to go where it's meant to go, And I hate that oopsies cause such a big problem. 0.3, 0.6, whatever. 1. And then we're good. And it's funny because it still has to be 0.3. But it could be 1 too now. It can be 1. So I don't know. Let's read this. And then I believe another Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. That's what's happening now. 4 o'clock I get into the studio. 4:20 I open a big bag of cannabis news. And this Thursday's no different. I'm all the way up into the hairy part of my armpits on this show. But next Thursday, I'm going to be back here, 4 o'clock, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9. I proceed side stage with Tramp, noon to 3. So now that we got that taken care of, the Sinola, this is from the Daily Beast, the Sinola Cartel, and I didn't know there was a cartel named the Sinola. Shinola. Maybe you couldn't tell you're something from Pooh and Shinola. Maybe they're talking about the cartel. But anyway, the Sinola Cartel is setting up front operations to hijack Mexico's new legal pot market. So this was updated January 26th of this year. Cartel farmers tell the Daily Beast, how does the Daily Beast get the cartel farmer? They put that in like Craigslist? But anyway, cartel farmers tell the Daily Beast they are importing stronger, more lucrative strains of marijuana to sell in the legal market and maximize profits through front operations. This was from Culiacan, Mexico. It's considered the most powerful criminal organization in the Americas, if not the world. But now the brutal Sinola cartel is preparing to go legit and make millions of dollars through front organization in Mexico's new legal pot industry. Cartel operatives told the Daily Beast that they hope to transit from the illegal market to the multi-million-dollar legal weed market as soon as Mexico passes reform, and that's supposed to be like this month sometime. One of the first changes as the Sinola Cartel prepares to compete on the open market is the introduction of more powerful marijuana. Now, I don't want to read all the way through this, but an operative said, "We are trying to make a more potent weed, more kickin', to sell in Mexico and in the U.S., wherever they want it. We're now leaving the old Mexi marijuana aside. Our bosses brought new seeds from Germany for us to grow better quality weed and in order to start harvesting this new weed strain." I'm trying to find out where it is, but this is where some drug cartel members want in. The bosses are ready with lawyers and everything. They've been watching closely the development of weed legalization, ready to establish a legal business. And now these guys are pretty ruthless dudes, So, yeah, they're doing this, but you know what I mean? They're also like whacking people. So I don't know about this, but I know I didn't see anybody when I was in Mexico, but I never went to Reynosa either. In Reynosa, oh boy, you get your hind end shot up. But anyway, I was trying to find where they talked about how much more potent, but they were talking about making it like 40%, like 80% THC. But the bill to legalize adult weed is currently waiting for approval from the lower house with the deadline set for April this year. So the new law sets rules for cultivation and harvesting of cannabis for medicinal purposes, which would allow businesses to grow marijuana legally on Mexican soil. So that'll be interesting, and you may want to just Google that on your own because that's pretty crazy. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. This hour of programming on KRFF 95.9 LPFM is being underwritten by S&S Incorporated. S&S works one-on-one with you to provide personal or business tax preparation, accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll services. Schedule your appointment with them at their West Fargo offices located at 45A Street East, Suite 105, or visit them online at facebook.com/SNS Incorporated for more information. Check out SNS Incorporated for all your tax preparation and accounting needs. Thank you, SNS, for helping us be awesome. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday, 4 o'clock, I get in here. 4:20, we open a big bag of cannabis news, and this is no different. And I'm excited. You're excited. I'm going to do a Emancipator sandwich. So I'm going to read you this. It's gone for a rip, shuggy, then yabba dabba, dab, rip. So Emancipator pro-cannabis sandwich right now for you all. Emancipator sandwich on Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9. First was Gone for a Rip, then I snuck Shuggy by Foxygen in the middle, and then wrap it up Yabba Dabba here on Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, where every Thursday at 4 o'clock I shimmy in, and then at 4:20 I give you a fresh bag of cannabis news at 4:20 till about 4:45. And this Thursday's no different, and next Thursday ain't going to be any different either. We got Side Stage with Trab every Thursday, noon to 3, automation till 4, and then I slide in, pressed in, and tickled. Whatever that means, but we talk about cannabis legalization and cannabis in a positive light. This Thursday was no different. Canna-Talk ND on YouTube. I'll give you this tomorrow, minus the music. Philip Canna-Head Pilko, same channel. Canna-Talk ND does Canna-Heads on Sundays. And then ND for Freedom, which will soon to be North to Cannabis. North to Cannabis is what ND for Freedom will be once we reach a certain... Apparently we changed the name, and now we got to wait a while. But the ND for Freedom page will and is officially North to Cannabis. But anyway, ND for Freedom, it's a ballot initiative that's out. We got House Bill 1420, and then another one that will lower the infraction to $50, and it's just a fine, no criminal implication. And so that's exciting. So that's a lot of stuff. That's one extra thing that I can talk about this week that was not last week. It was just the House Bill 1420, ND for Freedom. Now we got House Bill 1420, House Bill 1030, and then ND for Freedom. So we've got a person-driven initiative, which is a constitutional amendment, and then we've got legislators pushing their own thing, which is really groovy because, I don't know why. I don't know why. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. RadioFreeFargo.org. KRFF 95.9 LPFM. You want to donate, go to RadioFreeFargo.org. You want to listen to other stuff, go there too. Man, it's Fargo. It's Fargo in January. It's going to be February pretty soon. So that's exciting for a lot of people. Probably never thought they could get through this month. So educate yourself before you educate others on the benefits of cannabis, and it just goes on and on. I'm excited to say that I will have a sponsor for this show that makes really awesome stuff, and so I'm gonna have to write that up, but I'm gonna have a super awesome sponsor as I go into my next year doing radio stuff about cannabis. And so high five your neighbor, give them a big warm hug of understanding, and I'll see you next Thursday, 4 o'clock. Here's David Allen, Judgment Day. Bye.